The Book of Romans, part of the Living Commentary, Laying a Solid Foundation by Paul Bucknell. I'd like to challenge you to learn and teach Romans and how it's relevant to our today's world. Romans is a theological book, but something I found is it's very understandable, it's practical and powerful. I believe that the scriptures are to not only understand, but to help us in our daily life. We are not to shape the scriptures and what they say, but enter the scriptures so that the scriptures themselves, begin to change our own perspectives, our priorities, what we think is important, how we think about certain aspects of life. I'd like to look at some pages here from the book. You'll notice that we have lots of charts because we really want to make it practical and teachable. The cross, the ditch, the road, the plan, the world, the kingdom. This is the progression of Romans. Our extensive summaries really make this book easy to grab hold of and learn step by step how to go through that book. You'll notice that we have a lot of diagrams and that we tackle the different issues and try to bring them into our daily life. Here we're talking about the reception of evil as it goes through Romans 1. But we're not just thinking about it in terms of the scripture, but how are we to think about it? How does darkness and these barriers, these doors, a way to get a grasp on what they're trying to teach there in Romans 1? The further we go away from the truth, the more we go into deceit, excuses, and ignorance. And what has been normal becomes abnormal. The book of Romans tackles wonderful, wonderful challenges, not only justification by faith, but it gets right into suffering and the issues the Christians at that time were facing. Here in Romans 8, it's a powerful passage, not only talking about creation and Jesus and his suffering, but also theologically, how he foreknew us, predestined us, called us, justified, glorified us. We don't hide from the teachings because those are the very things that we need to treasure and understand to be able to rightly live out our lives. Well, you might want that book of Romans. We would suggest it, but we have another study questions too. And these two books together are great. But if you get the New Testament Biblical Library, that not only has these two books, but it has thousands of pages of really helpful things. It includes videos, it includes audios, all the way through the New Testament, Matthew to Revelation. You really need to check that out. And it's only a little bit more than those two books. Not much at all. So it has books, it has articles, PowerPoints, videos, audios, handouts. The thing about the book of Romans, it was born out of my own personal studies, working in pre-studies with others, teaching it again and again to college students, trying to grapple with what it means and why God gave us that book. Even a better deal, get both the New Testament and Old Testament biblical training DVDs. They have gigabytes of resources. And if you get it on the cloud, you can just take an individual file, like a book, even this Romans book, and just download it right to your smartphone or your iPad, whatever it might be, to devices that you have. The book of Romans is a very important part of the New Testament. It gives us a theological understanding of what it means to be a believer, how to grow as a believer, how to endure suffering as a believer, and how to relate to other believers. Very, very important and relevant book. Understand, live, and teach Romans. It's a wonderful book.